When it comes to streaming, gaming, esports, and business, one woman stands above the rest. Welcome to Streamer Class, your #1 source for everything streaming. Listen to compelling guest interviews about starting and growing a successful channel and turning your passion for content into a career. Now, here's your host, a two-time partnered Twitch streamer, owner and director of Evasion GG, and overall non-half-asser, Sigma.
Hi guys, welcome to Streamer Class. My name is Sigma and today we are here with Clintus. I have known him for a long time and what I'm going to do is give him a chance to introduce himself. But the first thing I want to do is go over his numbers, and that is Twitch is sitting at almost 65,000, YouTube over 780,000. That blew my mind. Twitter, you're at almost 22,000, Instagram 33,000, TikTok over 6,000, which makes your reach almost 1 million, which is absolutely crazy. So Clintus, take it away. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi, I'm Clintus. I'm an OG for sure, as the gray hair shows on my chin. I kind of fell into social media in college. I created my first website and kind of got into technology. MySpace, I think technically was the first thing, but no one talks about that anymore because it's not around. But 2006 is when I created my YouTube channel. And it was originally designed to show off my work because I have a degree in video production. I got a bachelor's degree. I wanted to make movies, wanted to be in the movie business. And so YouTube was a place to upload my work, my trailers. In fact, if you go to my channel, my very first videos on the channel are like movie trailers and music videos and some cheesy, really bad stuff. Pre-HD. I know some kids are like, wait, there was video before HD. Yes.
Right.
There's black bars on the sides because the video was a box. So that's how it started. And at the time I had a blog, like an actual written blog, because back then that's how you shared with the world. There were no apps. There were no, websites like Twitter where you could share your thoughts and stuff. It was like MySpace and a blog if you had a blog. And podcasting actually was a thing back then too, just it wasn't nearly as popular. It was a tech nerd, niche thing. But I had this website with my homepage called Pop URLs. I don't even know if it's a thing anymore, but you would pull it up and it would show like the top 5 or top 10, whatever the website was. So if it was MySpace, it was like the top 10 most popular pages. If it was a news site, it was like the top 5 articles, and it just kind of went down the list. And then there was a line at the bottom that was a bunch of like pictures, and it was actually thumbnails from this site called YouTube. And I kept seeing this bald guy with these big, thick glasses, and his face, it was just his face in like 4 of the 5 thumbnails. And finally I clicked on it, and it was a guy walking around his backyard with his laptop, and he had a web camera, because this is so long ago, there was no cameras built into the computer. He was walking around on his laptop, vlogging is what it was called, video blogging. And he was just talking about his day. He was talking about a topic that he was into, whatever. And I found myself watching like 10 of his videos in a row, just back to back to back. And I ended up going to his channel and looking and seeing that he had like thousands of subscribers and all of his videos had hundreds of views. And I'm like, people are watching this? People like want to hear this guy talk? And I was like, wait a minute, dumbass, you just literally sat here for an hour watching him. And so I kind of went down the rabbit hole of other vloggers. And then, again, this is 2006, 2007, I think. And I found this whole like subculture of people who were making like TV shows on the internet. And that's literally what they were doing. They were trying to make TV quality shows to get their start with TV. And but I was really fascinated with the vlogging and like the life stuff. And so I decided to take a stab at it. And instead of writing my blog posts, I'd sit in front of either a Sony camera or my movie camera or something, and I would talk about whatever it is I wanted to talk about. Internet Explorer versus Firefox, or UFC 45, or whatever I was doing that day. And I was posting those on YouTube, but then I was embedding them on my blog because, again, I was trying to get all the viewership and eyeballs on my page. It wasn't until we found out we were having our second child. I have two kids, and my daughter was 2.5 when I first started doing these vlogs. When we found out we were pregnant with our second kid, and I did like this baby update, it got way more attention, got way more engagement, got way more comments, and I realized again people were more interested in the real stuff than like the topical stuff. At least whoever I was engaging with. And so I kind of went down the rabbit hole of just posting more life updates and baby updates and showing more of my daughter at the time and my nephew. And he was born, and the whole night at the hospital is on YouTube. It's like one of the oldest, if not the oldest, birth video on YouTube.
Oh, wow.
Because he was born in 2007. You know, the site was only 2 years old at the time. And just kept going down that path until about 4 years later. Daily vlogging started becoming a thing. The first two channels that really take off on that was the Shaytards, which is Shay Carl and his family, and Charles Trippy, who has a channel that was called CTFXC, and him and his, at the time, girlfriend were doing daily life vlogs, literally all day, recording every moment of their day, doing fun things and sharing it, and then posting it the next day. And I was like, I could take a stab at this. I could try this. And so for 30 days, I gave myself a challenge to record my life every day and kind of show what my kids were into, t-ball, volleyball, you know, whatever they were into. And that's kind of how it started. And right around the time that I started doing the daily vlogs, I had a video kind of go viral, and it was the Christmas video where I gave my kids dirt bikes. It's still the most popular video on my channel. It's got over 60 million. I'll just say that. I don't know where it's at exactly, but it's over 60 million
crap.
views. And that kind of took the channel off as I was doing the daily vlogs. So what would happen was, back in the day, if you watched a video on YouTube, the whole sidebar would be the same person. Now it kind of recommends other videos around the same topic. But it'd be all my videos. So they'd watch the first dirt bike video, and then they'd watch the second dirt bike video, and they'd watch the third, and they'd go down and watch all the dirt bike videos. And then eventually they'd get to the new videos and be like, oh, he's a daily vlogger. And then the subs just started rolling in. And that's how the channel kind of took off from there. And all that was going on, more social media was popping up, right? So 2006 was Twitter and Facebook. 2008 was Instagram. I think maybe a year later, Facebook bought them, and that's when Instagram really kind of took off. Since then, there's been a ton of apps that have come and gone and failed. I think that's out. I'm sure you have more questions. That's the start. That's how it all started right there.
Okay. So one question I ask is, where did your name come from?
My name. Okay, so my name is Clint. Clintus McGintis was a nickname that was given to me in college.
Okay.
We were watching the Highlander trilogy, and his name is Connor McLeod. And like, he would introduce himself at, you know, kind of regally as like Connor McLeod of the Clan McLeod. And so we were watching the trilogy, and the next day, a friend of mine, a mentor of mine, we're talking, we're BSing, and then he leaves, and he's like, I bid you a good day, Clintus McGintis of the Clan McGintis. He just kind of pulled it out of his ass, and I was like, okay. But then he started calling me Clintus, and then he created me an email address, and I was literally clintus.mcgintis@uat.edu. Like, and so he started like emailing me with that and telling people that's his email, my email address, and it kind of became this thing. And then when social media kind of started popping up, and you had to sign up for everything, and of course, you know, no one knew what to trust on the internet. I started using Clintus McGintis as my name. Like, when I had to sign up, I was like, well, instead of putting my real name, I'll just put this name in there.
Right.
And then as social media and branding kind of became more of a thing, I just became Clintus. And I would go to conferences, and I'd wear like my Clintus TV shirt, or, you know, have some kind of like a hat or something. And people wouldn't necessarily know the name, but the moment you'd see their eyes too, you'd see like they make eye contact with me. And they look down on the shirt and they go, oh, like it was like one of those, like, they didn't know who I was. And they're like, oh, wait, I know who you are. Like, one of those things. And so, yeah, that was just a nickname that kind of stuck. Now it's become me.
That's cool. I always ask because I feel like we might get asked every once in a while on our stream where our name came from. But since we have like newer streamers or people that are just, you know, working hard to try to get a partner, or even some partners, they watch this and it might cross their mind. So I always ask, because I like hearing these stories. Everybody has their own particular story on how they got their name. So
For sure.
Cool. That's cool. I like it. Well, tell me, you kind of already went over how you started out on this, but tell me, when did it click to you that you can make this a full-time actual career? Because you said you kind of just started out because you were having fun, but when did it click like, oh shit, this is going to be it?
Honestly, I had a lot of friends in the space. And when I saw them starting to do like things, I don't know if you're familiar with iJustine. She's a longtime YouTuber, social media personality. She's hosted dozens and dozens of things. She does a lot of tech reviews these days and does a lot of hosting. We knew each other before YouTube and other websites and platforms that we had used. And I forget where she's originally from. I know it's on the East Coast, but she moved to LA to pursue and work in the YouTube space because it just LA and you know, Santa Monica was kind of where all the YouTubers were, and the weather's so nice and they were able to do stuff all the time. And so seeing her and a few other friends really start to like jump up and see what was happening to YouTube. And I think the partner program came out in 2008 or 2009. And so when that first came out, you know, much like Twitch and other places, it was really hard to get into. You had to have certain metrics and certain numbers to get into the partner program. And as soon as that happened and you were like, wait, you can make money for making YouTube videos, like that was when it was like, holy crap, this is amazing. Because we had the same thing with blogs, right? You could put the Google AdWords on your blogs and make a few pennies here and there on the clicks and impressions and stuff. So the fact that YouTube was doing the same thing kind of made that a goal of mine to like hit those numbers to make partnership and, you know, make a little extra side cash. But when I started seeing people like quitting their jobs or making this a full-time thing or getting jobs in like an industry, but also being able to make YouTube videos on the side, that's when I knew it was like, okay, this is something for me to do kind of on the side, right? I still was working a full-time job, had 2 kids, and wanting to still pursue film production. I took a risk and it failed. And that's when I went back to the 9 to 5 because like I got to support my family. I wasn't giving up on that, but I found YouTube. And again, my original idea was like, I'll just do my work and then put it on YouTube to show it off. When I started doing the daily vlogs, and that's when the channel really kind of took off, that's when I started seeing it took me 6 years to get my first $100 check. And then it took 6 months to get the second $100 check. And then it was 3 months. And then it was 1 month. And then it was every month I was making at least $100. And then 2, 3, 6, 1,000. Like when I got my first $1,000 check, I was like, holy shit, this is it, you know?
Right.
And
so
I mean,
cool.
Realistically, I was, you know, I was making a career in the company that I was working for, and I was happy and I was enjoying it. And that was kind of like, even though that was my plan B, it was becoming my plan A. And then whatever I was doing on the side was fun, extra money, whatever. But like I said, I had a couple of hits with the dirt bike videos. And I kind of started learning how YouTube was working, and it got to a point where I really couldn't do anything wrong. Like every time I put out certain videos, it would exponentially grow the channel. And it got to a point where I want to say it was maybe like 2.5 years of doing the daily vlogs where my YouTube checks were as much as my paychecks. And we paid off my student loans, and the only debt we had was our house and 1 car. And I was like, I'm pretty confident that this is going to continue going the direct trajectory that we're going in. You know, this is it. This is the time to jump off and go full into it. And when I did, like I was at maybe 75,000 subs, and people always thought like that was crazy because like usually the 100,000 mark was like you're making it, right? And it wasn't because it was because I got so much algorithm love. I was in search results. When you search for the word dirt bike or dirt bikes on YouTube, I would say 6 out of the 10 first search results were mine, like every time, guaranteed. Wow. So there were just certain videos and certain topics. Monster Jam's always been a big one. Later down the line, it was volleyball and basketball with my kids. But I just always got I got so much love from YouTube's algorithm and search engine that it wasn't my subs watching my videos. I got subs, and that, you know, always looks nice, and you get the check mark and the plaques on the wall. But it was just a ton of viewership from other sources. And so I was able to quit my job at 75,000 subs. And then 6 weeks after quitting my job, I hit 100,000 subs. It was like, boom.
Wow.
And then from 100,000 in a month, hit 200,000. Like it was just like this jump. And that's when things just were rocking and rolling. And it seemed like, you know, I couldn't do anything wrong. And that first year is when I kind of found streaming, and I was streaming on Twitch from my PS4, and then YouTube Gaming got announced, and I already had a gaming channel with like 40,000 subs, and I was like, okay, I could stream on Twitch, or I can stream on YouTube where I have 40,000 subs, and in my mind I'm thinking, like, I'll have thousands of viewers, right? Like, it's gonna work out great.
Sure.
And so I actually started my streaming career on YouTube Gaming. That was like where I really started pushing, was focusing. I was a big cheerleader for them, and that's kind of how.
What year was this?
2015.
Okay, because I pulled Twitch Tracker, and it only went back to January of 2017, and I was like, I think he started streaming on Twitch before that. I'm not sure. I
actually have another channel. When Twitch was called Justin TV.
Okay.
I had a channel. I think it was Clintus_McGintis, or Clintus McGintis, one of the two. It's still on Twitch, and there's some VODs on there from 2008.
Wow.
So technically, I started streaming on Twitch in 2008, but it was before it was, and then I created a new channel, obviously, because I didn't know it was. I forgot that it was there. Somebody actually found it because they were searching for Clintus, and they found it. And I now it's gonna bug me. I forget when YouTube Gaming launched. I want to say when it was 2015. But whenever YouTube Gaming launched, it was August of 15 or 16, and that's when I started like doing the gaming streams, because I was doing gaming videos, and streaming kind of was a obviously very new thing in the gaming space. But before that, I was doing live streams on my main YouTube channel. I called them live Q&As, and then Friday night chat, I think, sessions or something, where I would sit for 2 or 3 hours just doing like just chatting with my YouTube community. That's cool. I did that once a week, and then when I quit my job, I did it twice a week. Did it Wednesdays and Fridays, and that's when I really kind of started realizing that I loved the live platform more than the VOD platform, because I love the interaction and the live, back and forth.
Sure.
With YouTube, I make a video, I post it, and then I gotta wait for the comments to come in, and then I reply to the comments and hope they reply back, and there's really not a conversation. Whereas when you're live, it's a chat room, you're having this constant conversation, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, because we were just talking about this, like how social you are. You're very, very social. So getting the chance to go from YouTube and making videos over to a live stream was probably like super awesome.
Love it. And that's the thing too, again, talking about platforms that have come and gone. There's been multiple platforms for live content that most aren't around anymore, but like, the first two that were original were Justin TV, which is Twitch now, and Ustream, which became like a corporate live streaming platform. I don't even know if they were still around. A lot of companies got bought and rebranded and whatnot, but those are the two biggest. And then there was Blog TV, which is kind of like the YouTube of live, and that became YouNow, and that still exists. I was a partner there for a short time. That was actually the first place I was making money live. Then there were the mobile versions of Meerkat and Periscope. Periscope got bought by Twitter, and that's now their live platform. And then now you got YouTube Gaming, Facebook Gaming. Now everyone's got live. You can go live on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. Musically, what used to be called Musically.
Right.
And so now live's everywhere.
That's true. I know when I discovered Twitch, I'm the same way as you. I'm super social. So when I discovered Twitch, I was like, wait, I can just like hang out and play games that other people also like, and then we can all just BS. Like, this is amazing. I was so excited for it.
The best.
Yeah, that's super cool. Well, let's talk about this. What does a normal work week look like for you?
Normal work week. Wow. Okay. So it's always evolving. I try so hard to get like on a schedule, and I am my own worst enemy when it comes to like trying to have a schedule and a regimen. My wife always laughs at me when the word schedule comes out of my mouth. She just kind of chuckles. She's like, schedules and you. But I stream 40 hours a week minimum. It is my full-time, that's my full-time thing. I still vlog, but few and far between, mostly because I stream so much that I'm not out doing fun, exciting things to capture, but also my kids are now teenagers in high school and are kind of doing their own thing and having their own life. And they don't need me for anything really. My daughter drives now and has a job. My son, he streams on Twitch. They both have money. They're like, we don't need you, mom, dad. So we're not nearly as engaging, I would say, for vlogging as we used to be. And also I think doing it for 15 years or whatever it's been, I've kind of lost interest a little bit. I tell people all the time, I'll never stop vlogging because there's really no reason to, and it's just too easy and natural for me. But vlogging used to be a thing where, like, when I had something on my mind or I was upset about something, I'd pick up the camera and I'd rant to it. It was almost like a therapist, right? Like, instead of talking to a person, I was talking to a lens. And I used to, for a long time, I would try to get it in one take. So I would sit and vlog for, say 5 to 10 minutes. And then I stuttered, I repeated myself. So I re-recorded it like 4 or 5 times, trying to get more concise. And by the time I got to the 4th or 5th version, I had said it so many times that I got it off my chest. I felt better. And I was like, I don't even need to post this now. I'm good. That was like my therapy. So I think because,
see that.
Yeah, right. But because now I talk on stream for 8 hours a day to hundreds, sometimes, throughout the day, thousands of people, really, if you think about it, like coming and going all day long, I kind of get all that out off my chest and my brain dumping out, and also, my energy. So when I'm done streaming, I don't really have the desire to pick up a camera and do it again, so to speak, unless there's a very specific topic or a very specific thing that we're doing. My daughter's birthday was recently, and so I captured moments for that, around her getting her new car and stuff like that. So I still capture those life moments. Christmas is coming, kids are going bonkers for Christmas videos, and I'm like, you guys realize I have teenagers, right? They're not getting toys anymore. Like, it's not as exciting. They're like, oh, look, a sweater. Oh, hey, look, a pair of shoes.
Right, exactly.
So, streaming is the main thing. 8 hours a day, roughly. I try to make time. I say try, but I make time for emails. I'm always on Twitter. Twitter's still my favorite platform of all the platforms I'm on and have been on. Twitter's like in my bottom bar of my iPhone because it's just the one I'm on all the time. It's my news source. It's my connection to my friends, connection to the industry, the developers of the games that I play and platforms and stuff like that. And so, part of it is catching up and getting a pulse check on everyone, but also learning and trying to then also grow, the platform and the following that I have and whatnot. Brand working with partners and brands, making sure I get my social posts out there and stuff like that. I definitely am juggling at all times, and I definitely drop some balls, or plates. If you get the spinning plates analogy, I definitely drop some plates from time to time, because it is all me. It's 100% me. My wife is a full-time, stay-at-home mom, but she literally does everything for me and my kids. We were high school sweethearts, and when she was in high school and everyone asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to do out of high school? Literally the only thing that she was consistent on was, I want to be a mom. Like, I want to have kids and be a mom, and like, that's what I want to do. I don't know. She never had a career path in mind. She never had like this ambition of like doing anything. She was going to college right out of high school because her dad was paying for it, but she was just kind of like winging it. And the moment I said, like, we decided to buy a house, she took a break because we were buying the house. And then it was planning the wedding. Oh, I'm gonna take a break we were planning the wedding. And then summer came, and then it was baby time, and she just never went back to school because she was like, that was what she wanted to do.
Sure.
And so we have a good partnership. Like I said, she makes sure that the house is running. We have food, water, toilet paper, clean clothes. Like, she's got that on lockdown, and I work on everything else to make sure we have money to then for her to spend on all that stuff. So
it's important to have that team behind you. It really is.
It is, absolutely. But with that being said, because I'll say sometimes like, oh, I don't have time for this now. Well, how about your wife do it? I'm like, not really her thing. She's not real tech savvy, not real, not her world. Even after doing it for, for so long, she just never got into computers and stuff like that. So I still have to help her with some things when it comes to like, email and stuff like that. But it's all me. And so, you see some people that have teams behind them to do all these, keep the plate spinning and whatnot. And I've always like been right on the edge of like ready to hire somebody or get some help, and then something pulls back or something changes. And so I'm very disorganized. to be honest. I'm
Really?
So I think I am very, I'm a procrastinator, and I'm very disorganized. And so I think that's the other reason why, if I were to hire somebody, like I wouldn't even know what to give them, because I feel like I myself don't even know what I'm doing half the time. So it's like, yeah, you can do that one thing over there, and then they do it, and I'm like, give me like 10 minutes, I'll figure out what's next for you, kind of thing, you know, like.
Right.
I go through these cycles of like getting organized and getting everything in order, and then lose my momentum, right? Because I'm very much like shiny things they distract me, and then I'm focusing on this now, and I forgot about this, and
yeah. But when you're actually in the mess, it's like, I've got to get some help. This is ridiculous. But then once you walk away or you take a breath, you're like, I don't really need anybody right now. I'm okay. And
exactly.
I
No,
go
that's
through the
exactly
same thing. I actually reached out to somebody yesterday that has been asking, like, I can totally help you. And I finally just said, even if I only give you one or two small things, because I can't concentrate past that, because I go down rabbit holes all the time. I'm sure you know, like, oh, I got to do this one thing, and then it turns into 14. And before you know it, I go to bed and I'm about to fall asleep and realize I never wrote that one person back, or, you know, whatever it is. So I finally sat down yesterday. I said, okay, these two things, just if you took those off of my plate, I would love it. So yeah, it's a slow process to try to hand things over when you yourself are overwhelmed, you know? Genuinely.
Yeah. Well, and I finally, I'm going down the path. I think this next year. I mean, I literally have a list of things I've been noodling in my head on. I go for walks. That's my only exercise I get. I'm fortunate to have good metabolism. I'm a pretty thin guy, but I don't exercise. I don't do any kind of physical. I like to go for walks. I like I like where I live, and I enjoy the ambience and the views.
Yeah, your pictures are super cool that you take and you post. I like your pictures.
I live by a mountain range, so I've got like desert Southwest on one side, and then I've got like big beautiful trees on the other. So I'm constantly like walking around, and so that's where I do my thinking and my thoughts. And I have like a notepad that I'll write stuff down in and stuff like that. I'm listening to a podcast or whatever. But next year I plan on kind of getting some help. I have some people that I've reached out to kind of start that conversation. And you know, they work with a lot of our actual mutual friends and do a lot of like video stuff for them. So I'm hoping that maybe if I tell them what I'm looking for, they can kind of take the reins and tell me what they need from me. And then once I kind of have direction, like make sure you do this every stream, or make sure you do this for a YouTube video, and then we'll take care of the rest. That maybe a little structure kind of helps me.
Sure.
Because I think at the end of the day, this is my second time being my own boss. The first time failed miserably. That was my failed movie project when I was in my 20s. I'm just not really good at being my own boss. I think I'm a very free-flowing guy. I kind of go with the flow. I take direction very well, but when there's no one giving me that direction, that's when I'm kind of just like, you know,
I hear it.
I'll do it. I'll sure. Yeah. Sounds good. I should do that. Yeah, let's do that. Oh wait, one of these over here too. Let's do one of those. Yeah.
Right. I hear that. Like I love being structured, and I have like a huge whiteboard calendar like right behind this monitor that I look at every day and whatnot. But at the same time, I think with this business, you have to have some type of go with the flow. You really do. So if you're just trying to collab with somebody on a project, or you're trying to duo with somebody on a game, or you got to try a new game, or the game just got updated and now you got to know everything that's going on with it, like there has to be a lot of give and take there. So
true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. That probably helps you more than hurts you, genuinely. And then once you find somebody that can give you that structure, you'll probably be happy with that too. Just a few things, right? I swear that's what I always say is if I could just get 2 or 3 things done, it'll be fine.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, let's talk about that, because I think anybody that's new to streaming, you know, I did it, and maybe you didn't because you were actually like in the business. But when I first saw it, I thought, oh, hell yeah, I could just turn on a camera and share my screen. It'll be fine. Like, this isn't hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then it turns into, you know, a ton of other things. And I didn't realize how many hours a week behind the scenes I was actually putting in. I won't say what I put in. I'll just let you genuinely answer this. So behind the scenes, how many hours a week do you believe that you're actually working where we don't get to see you live?
All of them.
Yes. The answer is yes.
All of them. It's for reals though. My wife hates it because when I have my phone in my hand, she never knows what I'm doing. Like, are you working? And I'm like, everything I do is work. I like, like when I was doing the daily vlogs, like literally my life was my content. And, it's like, take a photo, tweet it, Instagram it, put it on YouTube, like do all the things. And it's like everything I did, it was like video, photo, post, video, photo, post. And then every day it was edit, post, comments. Like it was just this nonstop rotation. Sure. And, the one thing that even some of my friends have been with me for a long time watching my journey, they question how I went from doing YouTube to Twitch, because usually it's the other way around. People who start as live streaming want to go with YouTube. We're seeing a lot of people go from Twitch to YouTube gaming right now as a streamer, and the aspirations are more video content, because video content is evergreen and you can post it and walk away. And that was my life for many years, where it was like all day I'm recording. I spend an hour in the morning editing, uploading the vlog. And then the rest of the day is just replying to comments, looking at the analytics, doing some social posts, whatnot. Whereas with Twitch and streaming, you're in this chair for X amount of hours. Yeah. And the more time you spend in this chair, theoretically, the better your channel does, right? Because you're live, you're there, you're doing the thing, you're interacting. You're available for, new eyeballs to come through. You're available for, raids and hosts and all that stuff. And I love this. It is hands down my favorite thing that I've ever done. I love this. And I did a 12-hour stream yesterday, as example.
Damn.
It's the end of the month. I was like, I took a bunch of days off. I was like, I'm doing a 12-hour stream tomorrow, guys. Like, I'll be here all day, come in and out all day. And I did. I had people that were there from like the first thing in the morning when they're going to work. Then when they got home from work, and then, all right, game time, you're still on, dope, let's hang out, like, throughout the day. And people are like, man, how can you do that? And I'm like, I love it. Like, I literally love it. And as long as I have people to talk to in my chat room, I mean, I'm playing a video game, and that's my favorite pastime. Before I was a streamer, before I was even a content creator, like, I didn't watch TV. I never watched TV. I like dinner, kids to bed. Wife went to bed because she's an early bird, and I was always a late person. So it was like she went to bed at like 9 o'clock, and I'd stay up till midnight playing video games. And then when I realized I could make videos, I started making videos. And then when I started streaming. So for me, it's like the best case scenario. I'm doing my favorite pastime and hanging out with dope people that are also somewhat interested either in me or in the game I'm playing, and just enjoying the hell out of it. But I'm in the chair and I'm here. So like, for example, yesterday, 12 hours, I don't know what happened with the world. Like literally a war could have started. I have no idea.
Not a clue unless chat tells you.
Exactly. Right. That happens normally anyways. Like, hey, did you hear about this? I'm like, nope. It just happened. Yeah. So when I get off of streams, it's usually catch-up hour, right? Like, okay. I just kind of adjusted my hours recently to give myself that hour pad to catch up on notifications. Because that's the other thing too. When I'm live, my phone, my notifications going off, but I'm not really paying attention to it because I don't ever want to get caught like on my phone and chat's going like, hey, was he going to talk to chat? Like, I pretty much am talking to chat the entire time. So I'll take the hour after stream to kind of catch up on things. And then it's, family time. Then it's dinner time, because we're still very much a family. Like, we all get to the dinner table and have dinner together. The only time that gets messed up is if my kids have sports, early, or one's at sports, the other one's not. So there's 3 of us at the dinner table and the 4th one's missing. That's happening a lot right now because both kids are in sports and their schedules are opposite. So right now it's not happening all the time, but when it does, that's usually what happens. And so phones get turned off, and I try to be more present, with them and to catch up on their day and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But then as soon as dinner's done,
doesn't end. Right.
Yeah. Well, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. So as soon as dinner's done, it's
Boom.
like, okay, I did Twitch for X amount of hours. Now let's go jump on YouTube. Or I did a podcast. I have a podcast, but I was doing it weekly. And so there was always one night to sit down and record a podcast, and, one night to edit a vlog. And if I was for a while there, I was doing 2 a week. And before that I was doing 4 or 5 a week. And so there was all these, things that I kept doing every day, whether it was this or that, or, catching up on this. Got to the point where Mondays were for this, Tuesdays were for that, Wednesdays were for that. And so, yeah, it never really stops. And I have to remind myself to sit down and watch a movie, or sit down and watch, a new TV show. And I got to the point where I still don't really watch a lot of TV because I will totally binge watch. The way that we consume content nowadays with YouTube and everything, Netflix and all the streaming services, it's very easy to sit there and just hit next. Next thing you know, it's 3 a.m. and I'm like, oh, okay. Right. So I try to stick to movies because it's a little easier to like, oh, okay, 3 hours tops, I'm done.
And it's really important to find those times to just detach from all of this, because it's so easy to just keep going and to keep doing stuff, and before you know it, you're literally frustrated at the whole thing. You get the burnout going. I personally went through a burnout about 4 or 5 months ago, and that's when I realized, like, well, the thing that's making me the most happy is helping other streamers kind of sort through all of this stuff. How do you make a panel? How do you post to social media responsibly? I got questions about that, and I thought, well, I'm not the most responsible person in the world when it comes to social media, but basic info, don't act like an asshole, kind of thing. But that's when you get off track like that, it really tends to flare up when you haven't taken the time for a break and just enjoy the people around you. And why you working this hard anyway? I saw it, somebody just said the quote, and I don't know, I've heard this quote and I don't know who said it, but it was like, a busy life is a wasted life. And I thought, oof, like, so true. If you're just busy all the time, what's the point? So that's really cool to hear that you take the weekends just to go do your own thing and not have to stress about all these other things going on with work.
It's definitely my time to recharge, and I swear I look forward to Mondays. I know I'm in the minority there. Like, I look forward to getting back to stream and getting back to the grind, and like I definitely feel my batteries recharged and ready to rock and roll. My biggest, for me personally, I think the biggest thing I just need to get more into a schedule, a routine of back to like certain days doing certain things. And I think once I kind of get into that slipstream, then it's just I'm on autopilot, right? I'm good until someone throws me a curveball, until and it's gonna happen. It's always gonna happen. Life, kids, family, events going on, Christmas, holidays, that sort of thing. But that's always what messes me up, is there's this disruption in that routine, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, where was I doing? What was today's Monday? Monday is podcast day. Get back on that groove.
Sure.
It's so easy for me to like just start a new path.
It is. I'm almost 4 years into this, and I'm still waiting to figure out what schedule works for me best.
Right.
I make up schedules in my head all day long of, would this work better? Should I try that? And I feel bad, but your community, as long as you're honest with them, or like my community sees that I'm busy with streamer class and I'm busy with evasion, they've been very understanding, which I appreciate so much. But a lot of times you see streamers that will just all of a sudden go MIA, and you're like, hello, what's going on? You gotta communicate. Like, hey, I'm just trying a new schedule, or I got this thing going on, or like you said, a curveball came and this happened. As long as you communicate with them, makes the whole thing 10 times easier, at least in my eyes. So
absolutely.
Let me move on to this. So this is actually something that I get asked quite often, and I feel like this is almost a fingerprint for anybody in the business, is everybody wants to know how to get a sponsorship. Should I take this affiliate deal? And this is something I bring up on every interview that I do, is that, and I will not name names, but these deals that all of these streamers are jumping into for certain PC or food sponsors that are like, yeah, just throw my logo all over your stream, have your chat bot going, hell, put it in your title and I'll give you 10% of anything that you make. It drives me bonkers, because not only are they getting undervalued, but they are now undervaluing anybody that is around them, any other streamer that is around them, because this is a group effort. So then they come and they ask about, well, how do I get sponsorships, or how did your first one go? And I try to tell them this is something that should be coming later, not right away. If you have 5 viewers or 10 viewers, you really shouldn't be sponsored yet. I'm sorry to tell you that. Your real big deals that you're looking for. So tell me a little bit about like your first sponsorship and what you would say to somebody that is starting out that's like 10 or 20 viewers. What would you want them to do?
Yeah, I get asked. Yeah, we'll probably get a lot of the same questions, to be honest with you.
Sure.
I came from YouTube, so I already had kind of gone through that gambit of first time stuff on the YouTube side. So when I came to Twitch, I started with X amount of viewers. And I came over to Twitch before the affiliate program. So like I was one of those big transfers that came from YouTube to Twitch as a partner. But the early days on YouTube to get those early sponsors, it was like pulling teeth because again, back then they wanted certain numbers and certain criteria. I kind of got some bones thrown to me from an MCN that I was with. MCMs aren't really around these days, but back in the day, it was like a sure way to get partnered with YouTube was to be with an MCN. They would manage your channel, take a percentage of your ad revenue, and they would claim to give you, brand deals. And I didn't get any for a long time until I actually met the director of the brand deal area. And he kind of threw me a couple of bones to kind of see what I could do. And then when I kind of proved that I could sell and do an ad read pretty well, it kind of went up from there. But even now I would say, because my channel numbers wise looks great, right? You rattle off those numbers earlier in the show. And I definitely, a lot of those are just old subs that just don't even watch them anymore. Like there's a huge, deficit between sub count and viewership or follow count, viewership. I get emails literally every day for, the Amazon, like, do an unboxing or do a review for a free product kind of thing. And, I definitely did that in the early days. You kind of have to pick and choose what you want to represent and what you want to showcase. Especially when products are similar, right? Whether it's, robot vacuum cleaner. We did one with iRobot recently. And then like literally a month later, they're like, hey, we saw your video reviewing, Roomba. How would you like to review this one? And it's like, it wouldn't really be authentic if I literally went from one robot vacuum to another one, unless I was a review channel. Like that's all I did was reviews. But, we definitely framed, and we always have framed our brand deals as like, this is great. We love this product. We would definitely use this product, or we do use this product. And I turned down so many of those like affiliate programs, and it's hard for me now to people ask me these kind of questions, and it's like, well, I'm different because I've been doing this for so long, and the deals that I get, even though I do get a lot of those entry level deals, I literally just, don't even respond to half of them because you can just tell the way it's written that it's an automated one or it's a copy paste. And, but when you're getting those initial emails as a smaller creator, you said it best. If you have 5 viewers, you shouldn't be worried about an affiliate code or getting some kind of like 10%, because at the end of the day, if you only have 5 viewers, the percentage of people that convert, someone who's got say 100 viewers or 1,000 viewers, the percentage that converts to one of those purchases are so low, you're not going to get any actual buys or purchases, not at least enough to get paid, because a lot of those guys won't pay you until you hit $100. Right. Like I said, YouTube, 6 years to get my first check on YouTube. And so if you're thinking about taking those deals, again, go back to what I do today is like, is it a product that I would really actually use and actually want to promote? Like, this is something that I use. I love it. Here's the reasons why I love it. If you can spiel all that and feel, I guess, good about yourself, that you're not full of shit, great. But you also have to think the value that you mentioned. I'm at the point now where I have the potential to get a certain number of views. I have the potential of getting a certain amount of attention. So I value my audience at a certain value, way more than any kind of percentage. I'm at the point now where it's like, I don't even care about the percentage or the affiliate link. That's a nice to have for long term. But I'm more of important. Like, what is it right now? You're asking for X, Y, and Z. That's going to cost this much money, and that's what that is. Right. And I can do that because I have the reputation. I have a whole slew of videos or promos that I've done over the years that I can say, this is my track record, this is my history. If you're just starting off as a creator, you don't have that. You don't have a way to tell a brand or prove to a brand what you're worth. Because at the end of the day, you can say that you're worth something, but the market is what's going to say what you're worth. You can say that you're worth, a video is worth this much money, but if the market value for that type of content at this number of views or this amount of impressions is different, then that's where that the gap is, right?
Right. It definitely is.
As a new creator that's starting off, you don't have that gap. You're at the bottom, you're at the floor. And so it's easy to be like, yes, I'm sponsored by X brand, but they can only promote so many people, and they're not going to flood their Twitter and their Instagram feed with everyone that mentions them that they've got a product in their hand. Trust me, I know. I worked with lots of brands. I currently have a handful of partners and sponsorships. There's only a handful that actually promote my content, whether I'm mentioning them or not. Like there's literally one brand that promotes me more than any other brand. It's the one that I work with the most, tend to have the most stuff from them. But the other ones, it's very hit or miss. Like if I am promoting their product and I mention them and it's the right timing, I'll get a retweet, I'll get a mention. So even someone at my size who's been doing this long still don't get that kind of, promotional love that everyone thinks they're going to get being sponsored by a brand.
Right.
Because I think that's what everyone thinks. They're going to, A, I'm going to make money, and B, I'm going to get a lot more attention and followers and subs because that brand has 100,000 followers or 100,000 subs, and they're going to retweet my stuff. It was the same thing with those YouTube MCNs when they first, they're like, oh, we're going to promote you. If they have 1,000 YouTube partners or 1,000 YouTube channels, they literally cannot promote everyone. There's not enough time in the day, and the feed becomes saturated. People unfollow.
Oh, it's crazy. That's what I was saying. There's some of these food and PC companies out there that you look and you realize like they get to go spout off and say, yeah, I have 400 streamers in my, they get to use that number. But to you, when you're streaming and somebody looks up the category that you're in, say Tarkov or New World or whatever it is, and you're in that row, well, 4 people in the top row and then 3 people in your row and 4 people below you are all sponsored by the exact same. That's not doing anything other than helping that company make sure that their name is everywhere. And when you're smaller, like you said, you're probably not going to be making anything. And I'm a big proponent of that, is that your channel, no matter what size it is, has value. It may not be the highest value out there yet, but starting out like this, if a sponsor does come along and they do see something and they're like, wow, Clintus really does actually genuinely love our product, I want to put even more effort behind them. If you're already crowded up with 15 other sponsorships all over your stream, they're not going to feel special. They're not going to pursue that more often. So it's hard to get into, but at the same time, I think people want it too quickly. They think, oh, well, I have 15 viewers, I should have somebody sponsoring me. No, not really. You're not quite there yet. You should be getting prepared and you should act like you're ready to be sponsored by somebody or affiliated, but you're not quite there yet. So don't jump all over all that yet. You still have a lot to work on.
Well, yeah. And at the end of the day, the brands want your viewers' attention. They want your community's attention, right? They want to either bring brand awareness or sell, sales, right? It's they both go hand in hand. The awareness hopefully brings sales, but even just brand awareness is people talking about the product and whatnot. And so again, if you've only got 5 viewers, there's not a lot of attention there. You haven't garnered that attention yet. So most brands won't even touch you. There's a brand that you want, there's a brand that you're going for. Like, I'd love to be sponsored by this brand. It's like go for it, apply, whatever, but just be realistic on your expectations. That why would they give you free product? Why would they give you, a portion of sales if you haven't garnered that attention yet? And then even more so, like, let's say there's brands that just give everyone, right? We don't care how big you are. Like you said, blast our stuff everywhere. You're literally giving them free advertisement for free stuff, but then it's hard to put a value on that stuff because there's really not like a rule book that says, an image here in my stream is X amount of dollars. It should be that much. If you're getting that doesn't exist yet. There's a couple tools out there that help. There's no like hard, fast, this is the rate that it should be at. And so at the end of the day, you said it best, you're valuing yourself and what you're worth, because even if you do only have 5 viewers, those 5 viewers are worth something. Is it worth a free, bag of this or a free can of that? Or, is it worth the potential 10% that you'll earn a year from now when you've got enough sales? Like, I'm a proponent of, like, I put my partners in specific locations, and I have my, 5 or 6 that are more predominant than others because of the deal that we have, or the product that they give me. But then there's others that are just like, here's what I use. When someone asks me what I use, here, I hit my button on the Stream Deck and it pops it in the chat room, and there it is. But like you said, I've got, I think maybe 8 partners that I work with, and that it's kind of hitting a limit, right? Like, it's getting to a point where it's like, I can't have them all on screen. I can't have them all getting all the same, I can't even give them all the same attention, because even the deals that we have are different, right? Like, there's some that give more and do more. And so I even feel like I need to put them in a certain hierarchy. So it's definitely a juggling act for sure. It
does become like just your fingerprint. It has to be unique. You've got to balance it out. So it isn't always easy. I don't think it's as cut as dry as a lot of people think it is. Let me ask you this. When you go to a small streamer's channel, and we can bring up YouTube as well, but if you go to a YouTube or you go to a Twitch channel, what is something that stands out to you the most, that you're like, man, small streamers, I always see them make this mistake?
Mistakes. So the first thing that some do is, and I think this is just natural because they're not used to having people in their chat room, or few and far between. They're not used to constantly looking at their chat room. They miss there's a lack of engagement there. I personally like streams that are the stream. I can talk to the streamer. I know there's different kinds of streamers, but there's 2 predominant kinds of streamers. There's the ones that are pure entertainment. They're doing their thing. They're slaying out in the game, and you're there to watch them do their thing, like watching basketball or football on TV. They're not really engaging with the audience. Maybe they never read chat, but you're there and you're being entertained and you're having conversations with the other community. Then there's the ones that are very engaging with their chat, and they're constantly talking, and depending on what they're doing, you can usually get some kind of conversation from them and get some questions asked. Smaller streamers that aren't used to having people in chat, or again, few and far between, you leave a comment, you're kind of waiting. And at some point you're like, how long do I wait before I'm like, okay, deuces, see ya, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's probably my first thing that I'm like, man, I like everything going on, but kind of wish I could talk to you, because that's what I love about as a streamer, but even as a viewer, is I like that engagement with the streamer that I'm watching. There's very few times where I'm just watching purely for the entertainment piece. For me, it's 90% it's engagement with the streamer. So, and that just comes with time and practice. Obviously, again, if they're not used to having people in their chat room, because they don't get viewers, or again, they're few and far between, then I understand. I have patience for that. The flip side, and I know you asked the question about going to someone's stream, but I would say on the flip side, when smaller streamers come to my channel and are asking for like what I can do or advice that I can give them, I think the number one thing that small streamers new streamers don't realize is that they have to network. They've got to spend time on the platform, whatever platform it is that they're trying to build a channel on, build a community with, whether it's Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, even Instagram and Twitter, if you want to get, broad.
Yes.
You got to take time to network and make friends. At the end of the day, it comes down to friendship, because when you start streaming, no one knows you exist. No one knows that you are live. They don't know that you are even on the platform. Because let's be real, virtually no one scrolls to the bottom of a directory and looks for people with no viewers or one viewer. They watch that top 20, or they go to their follow list and they watch who they like.
Right.
It's not until a potential raid or a host that someone gets introduced to a new person. And that's where the community grows that way. But I have a moderator, a good friend of mine, that I use as an example all the time, because it's literally the perfect scenario. This person had zero desire to stream, never even thought about it whatsoever, was just a community member. became a good member of my community, became a moderator. So then they were there all the time and people were talking to them, engaging with them, and just started creating these like relationships in my chat room. And they kept getting told like, hey, you should stream. You should, you play the same games that Clintus does. And they started playing games together. Like, you should stream. So one day they said, okay, let me see what I need to get. I have a PlayStation and a headset. I think I'm good, but let me see if there's anything else I need to get. And their first stream going live, they went live with 25 viewers because they had already built these friendships and community, and people were just naturally following them. People follow people in chat rooms all the time, whether they have but they built their channel before they went live. So if anyone ever clicked on their name and went to their channel, they saw they had panels and they kind of had a profile picture. It wasn't just the default one. And so they had followers before they even went live. So when they went live that first time, kind of like my son, they had viewers on day one and kind of hit the ground running right off the bat. And, they made affiliate within a couple of weeks because the viewership was there and the streams were consistent, and all because they had just been themselves, being a dope person in my chat, in my community, and a few other communities as well. It wasn't all in my chat room, but and that's something that a lot of new streamers don't do. They think they could just go live and be live for X amount of number of hours a day, and people will come and people will follow them, and they'll get they get their subscribe button, and they're going to get all these subscribers and make all this money and quit their job.
Right.
I have to, break it down and be real to them. Like, do you personally, do you ever go to the Fortnite directory and scroll to the bottom and look for people with no viewers? Do you ever go to the Call of Duty directory and flip it around and no, like, you watch the same 10 people, the 20 people that everyone else is watching. Like, now quantify that to the rest of the platform. How are people going to find you? And I give them like some tips and tricks and like my opinion on like what I would do if I was starting from scratch, and actually some things I have done both on YouTube and on like Twitter and Instagram that helped me grow in the early days and that still work today. Trying to give those that advice.
Feel free to share away, because I agree with you. I think the networking thing is one of the most important. And when we say networking, we don't mean going and finding 2 or 3 other friends and then you 3 just hang out and keep into your own little bubble and then get angry and say, well, I'm going to quit streaming because I don't ever get any views and I already networked. And it's like, no, you have to kind of go everywhere. So if you're a 4 viewer streamer, then go and find other people with 5 to 10 viewers and hang out there and really constantly build these relationships, and genuine ones at that. But feel free to take it away if there's some advice that you'd like to give on these platforms and how to grow. I'd love for everybody to hear it.
Yeah, I mean, the most basic thing that I tell people, specifically with Twitch, is to actually do what I just kind of mentioned. Is, okay, so you stream, how many viewers do you get? 2, 3? Okay, go to the directory of the game you play, scroll down to where you would be if you were live right now, right? Go try to find your channel, and then just kind of look at the people that are there. Find an interesting thumbnail, interesting title, and click on a few of those streams and engage with these streamers. Be their first viewer, right? Like imagine and I say this to them, like, imagine when you got your first viewer, you're your first person in chat, and you had that first conversation, you kind of sit up straight, like, oh, someone's watching, someone's here, right? And then you're like focusing on that makes you do good with the game, but you're also making sure you talk to be someone's first person in chat and have a meaningful conversation with for 30 minutes or so, right? 30 minutes minimum. If you're not really digging their vibe, cool. Say, have a nice day, man, and leave. Sure. Mm-hmm. But if you're digging the vibe, right, drop them a follow. Ask them questions about the game. You're playing the same game, right? Like, you play this game, you're in that directory, so now you can ask them questions like, oh yeah, I was playing this last night and this happened or whatever. Or have you gotten that item for Kappa yet? Or did you know that there's a thing over there? Like, have this conversation with them, and you have that connection at the game level, right? That's the most basic version, a basic connection you can have with somebody on the platform, because that's the directory structure. And you do that for, like I said, 30 minutes minimum. Maybe if you're enjoying the conversation, stick around for an hour, but do that maybe like 5 to 10 times a night, a day, whatever, and start to build this, like this network. You're building this community of other streamers, because if you do that, say 10 times, and you come back to those 10 streamers on somewhat of a regular basis, depending on when they stream, and you're going to do this multiple times a week, multiple times a month. So you're kind of building your follow list, who you're following. The odds are if that you're the only follow they got for the day, or you're the only follow they got, the only a viewer they got, while they're streaming, they most likely clicked on your name to see who you are. And if your channel's all decked out, you've got your profile picture and your banner, and you've got your panels, and they're like, oh, you're a streamer too. Oh, cool. I'll drop you a follow. I'll check you out later after my stream, or I'll check you next time you stream. It's not gonna happen every time. There's no guarantees. Don't ever ask or talk about your stream, but just talk about the game, right? The connection is the game, not that you're a streamer. And if you do that enough, statistically, you are going to get some reciprocation. You're going to get some of those follows. You're going to get people that you've jumped in their chat. They're going to come to your chat next time that you're live. And you just slowly start to build this network and this community. And next thing you know, you've been in their chat room a few times. They've been in your chat room a few times. You're like, hey, you want a duo? You want to collab, right? Now you're streaming together. So if they get one viewer or you get one viewer, they introduce each other, it's natural. And it's this natural, organic way of building this community of like-minded people that share a common game or interest.
Yep. Love it.
And so that's like the most basic form that I would say of starting off, what's that phrase? All rising tides raise all ships, right? Like you start at that level that you're at. I think a lot of times people try to go to these big streamers chat rooms
they do.
And try to which again, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just very hard to compete with a lot of other voices. I think you're going to see better results with the smaller creators around your size. Cause like I said, if you're the first person to be in their chat room for the night, or you're that only follow they got for the day, they're going to remember you. They're going to remember you that you took the time to, hang out with them. But on the flip side, find some communities. I'm sure you already have some communities that you're already part of. And really, maybe you're a lurker. Maybe you just watch because again, you're watching the gameplay and you've been watching the chat room for a while. Engage in that chat room and have meaningful conversations with people in that chat room and make those friends and those connections. Again, if you guys are watching the game, maybe when you get off work, hey, let's play together, right? People are always looking for people to play games with, especially certain games that are better co-op. They're better as a team versus solo. And then again, that works for any platform. You can do the same with YouTube, right? If you're a YouTuber making YouTube videos, you go watch videos of the same kind of content that you make, watch the video and leave a meaningful comment, ask them questions, hoping that they respond. Again, the idea is if you're leaving these comments, they're like, that's a good comment. That's a good question. I never thought of that. That's a good point. They're going to click on your name. They're going to check out your channel, see that you make similar content. Maybe they'll watch your video. Maybe they'll drop you a sub. I do that with Twitter. I do it with Instagram. It works on every platform, but you got to put in that work. You got to put in that time. And when you're first starting out, I say straight up, for every hour that you are creating content, whether that's streaming, YouTubing, podcasting, whatever, you should be consuming someone else's. You should be hanging out in someone's chat room. You should be watching YouTube videos. It should be a 1-to-1 ratio, because when you're first starting off, it's a hobby. It's something you do on the side.
Yeah.
Make time to do that networking to help. I guarantee you, it'll slowly help you build out your network. And then as you start to get, more into it, now you're doing 2 or 3 hours. Maybe you can back off on the networking a little bit, and you're only doing it a couple times a week versus every day or, whatever.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is fabulous. This is honestly exactly how I grew. And I didn't realize what I was doing at the time. But I was watching smaller streamers because I knew the bigger streamers didn't really have time to respond to me. And I was trying to learn Tarkov. So I was able to ask questions and say like, oh, well, where did you find that? Or I'm on this task, or how did you, build that gun? There were so many things that I was in there asking, just genuinely trying to learn. And what I didn't realize was then, like a week or two would go by. I maybe visited 2 or 3 times, and then I went to go stream, and next thing you know, they were in my channel. And it was like, oh my gosh. And it totally happened that way. But if I wasn't streaming, I was on somebody else's channel, trying to watch and learn and hang out. And when I realized, oh my gosh, this thing could actually be like a business for me, that's when I started kicking into full gear of like, okay, we're going to treat it like a business. But before that, it was just genuinely trying to learn. And I believe when you were talking about there's like 2 different types of streamers, is like you have the gamer streamer that is just sick at any game they play, right? Like they're just always killing it. People aren't there to interact with the streamer, they're there to just watch them kill it. 100%. And then you have streamers. I think that's where you and I tend to fall into, is like, we want to interact, we want to talk. And I genuinely believe, and this is not a slam on the gamers, they're great, but if you're in this business, you should always be a streamer first and a gamer second, because the games are going to change. Things are going to get weird. You might have bad days when you're gaming and you just can't hit your shots, but the streamers never have to worry about that, because they're just there to have a good time. And if they die, they die. They don't really care. If they win, that's great. We have something to celebrate. Whereas your gamers are just gaming, like nose to the grindstone. Probably like a lot of your super pros out there kind of like that. Like, okay, you're just here to watch me kill everything. That's totally fine. They don't care. Personally, for me, I'd rather be a streamer first and a gamer second.
Well, I was going to say, don't cut yourself too short. You are definitely a gamer. We play together. You teach me things. You hit your shots. You're all over it. We were talking before the show about how, like, I'm super slow at the games that I play, like RPGs, MMOs, Tarkov. I've been digging New World. I'm so slow in leveling and progressing that I just have so much content still left to do. But it's like, yeah, I totally will follow people and watch them to try and learn things. I'm literally taking notes on things, and like you showed me like routes on like interchange, like here's all the loot and stuff. It's like, how did you find all this stuff? And like it's one of those things where like you find the streamers, right? Like you said, you find the streamers that are willing to do that for you. Whereas, like I said, a lot of gamers are just gaming and not even like taking the time to say, oh, by the way, chat, did you guys know this was here? Hey, by the way, chat, did you know this was here? They're just like zooming, and you're like, wait, what was that? And you're like asking the chat, hey, chat, what was that? They're like, yeah. Keep up, pay attention.
Get it together. That's funny. So that's awesome, because one of the big questions was about how to network in general. And I just love how you answered that. And we covered this one. So this is probably going to be wrapping this up here. And this is probably my favorite question. You get to go back and tell yourself 3 things that will make turning this into a career so much easier. What do you tell yourself?
Ooh. Make this a career a lot easier. Save your money. Wow, yeah, that's a good one. Because again, for me, it was like a slow grind, and so it kind of just, I slowly built into it. It was definitely not an overnight success. It didn't fall in my lap. It was definitely a slow build. Diversify sooner. For a long time, YouTube was it. YouTube was the only thing making me money. The only thing that I was focusing on. I did the live streaming stuff. It was for fun, but because it didn't produce any revenue, I didn't care about it. Right? I didn't pursue it. I mean, man, if I would have kept my original Justin TV channel from 2008 and still streamed on that somewhat consistently, I mean, who knows where my Twitch channel, my career would be, but I was like all on YouTube. And it wasn't until 2017 when YouTube made a huge change behind the scenes with the algorithm and the way they presented videos. It went from suggested videos to recommended videos. And there was a distinction between the two. And I picked up on it right away, because I was killing it with the suggested videos. But then as soon as they went to recommended, it was a huge drop off in my channel. And like I said before, my subscribers wasn't the big bulk of my viewership. It was non-subscribers that just happened to be suggested my videos. The recommended videos changed that. And when I started seeing the numbers declining for the first time in years, I mean, it was like every year I was almost doubling my numbers. For the first time ever, it plateaued and started to go down. I kind of freaked out a little bit, right? We just bought a new house. I was like thinking this was the skyrocket, the rocket ship was taking off. That's when I made the move to Twitch. That's when I realized, okay, I'm not 100% happy with YouTube gaming, but also new platform that's not owned by Google. I should probably move my live content over here. Because at first, when Twitch and I were talking, I just wanted to move my gaming content. It was originally called Clintus Games, because that was my gaming channel, was Clintus Games. Clintus TV is my vlog channel. And of course, as we know, Twitch wants exclusivity. So they're like, no, we don't care what you call it. If you're live, we want it on Twitch and it's all exclusive. And I kind of went back and forth about it. But at the end of the day, the diversity was what kicked me in and said, okay, yes, let's move my live content over here, VOD content over there. And I have 2 platforms to, for revenue purposes. And then I started the podcast, and that was on a different platform. And diversity was definitely something that I did not really anticipate or keep in mind, because again, YouTube was the only thing that was making me money. So that was where I was putting all my effort into, because it was like, the more energy I put here, the more money I make. Where I wasn't thinking like, well, Twitter and Instagram and these other platforms that were existing, even though they weren't making me money, it was still a funnel to YouTube. It was still brand awareness. And this was, again, early days where a brand wasn't a person, it was a company. Right. And this was the era of, hey, brand, you should be a person. You should, the very first brand that became a person was Comcast. I don't know if you know this story. Comcast Cares was the Twitter handle. And originally it was branded as Comcast and whatever, but Twitter was new. And they gave some guy, they said, yeah, he's like, we should be on Twitter. We should be on Twitter. Like, that's stupid. That Twitter's for people who are like, showing their pizza and talking about, whatever. But he's like, no, we should be on Twitter because people are complaining about our services. So they said, fine, you can take care of it. You do it. And he started running the Comcast Cares Twitter account. And then eventually they converted it to his face on the profile picture. And it was one guy, and his name was like Robert or something. And people called him Robert. He was no longer Comcast. He was Robert, the Comcast Cares guy. He started going to conferences. And that was the start of like brands being humanizing brands.
Okay. Yeah, because we talk about that a lot. Like your brand, you are a brand at this
absolutely
point. Yeah.
And so that that even though I was in that and I was there, I didn't think myself as a brand. I was a person, right? Whereas this was like a brand or a company becoming a person. I was already the person. And again, that's where the branding started kind of bubbling up around the 2016, 2017 timeframe. But by then, it was like I kind of feel like I missed that kind of initial bubble pop. And again, I just feel like I wish I would have spent more time on Twitter, more time on Instagram, building that community and that followership independently. Because I think a lot of my numbers, again, a lot of it's old. A lot of it are people who've hit that follow button or that subscribe button and then forgot about me or no longer use the platform. And, it's not like there's a purge button where they say, oh, you haven't engaged this person, unfollow them. I wish there was. I really wish that all platforms did some kind of like, hey, if you haven't touched this person's content in 12 months, we're going to unfollow you or unsubscribe you. Right. Because I think it'd be more realistic across the board. Because again, people see my numbers and they're like, oh, yo, bro, you almost had 1 million subs. And I'm like, not really. Honestly, at this current rate, I'll hit 1 million subs in 10 years. Like they don't realize that.
Sure. But so, it would give us a lot better view on number wise. And I think it would help with the sponsorship wise too.
Absolutely. Because there's definitely again, there's a dissonance between the number of followers and subs versus the actual views, and then even further down the line, engagement. And that's the piece that brands want. They're like, how many likes do you get? How many comments do you get? How many retweets do you get? How many clicks on the actual link do you get? And I have to, when I'm doing my negotiations, a lot of times I'm like, I'm not a salesman. I don't want to be a salesman. I'm not here to sell your product. I'm here to bring awareness to your product. I'm here to say, hey, did you know this exists? Here are the key features. Here's why you might like it. Here's where you go to buy it. Have a nice day. Like, that's kind of my stepping stone or where I'm at now. And so it's like, I give those numbers. Yep. Here's what my average likes and engagements are. And here's what I think it's worth. Does that fit in your budget? And then a lot of times they're like, oh, I usually get the number that I'm asking for because they were expecting a lot more because of that sub number, because of that follow number. I think I had a couple of brand deals this past year with some pretty good brands. They didn't even flinch when I gave them my rates. They're like, cool. When can we here's a contract. When can we get this going? I'm like, and I don't ever feel like, oh, I should have asked for more, because I feel like that's what I'm worth. I feel like that's what my attention is based on my numbers. But to your point, I think a lot of brands look at that one number, that one metric, and go, well, if he asks for this, we can give him this. And it's like, I come in pretty low, and because I feel like that's good for me. I'm happy with that number, and I'm guaranteed that number. It works out for me.
Sure. Yeah.
So I guess the best advice I'd give myself would be diversify sooner. And I think a lot of people do that now anyway. I think you're a Twitch streamer. everyone's doing YouTube, right? Everyone's doing TikTok. Everyone's making those reels and shorts on Instagram and YouTube. And I think it's already been ingrained in people. And that's something that I didn't have, 5-10 years ago.
That's true. That's true. It's really important. It's almost like I started playing the stock market, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. And I feel like that was a big thing for me, was the whole diversification of the accounts, so that if something happens somewhere, you don't really feel it. But as a whole, it makes sense. Like, oh, okay, we're good. Mm-hmm. So same thing there is like, you may not feel like you're doing great in one area, but when you have a whole bunch of them and you add them all together, well, that could be a huge difference in your life. So yeah, definitely diversify. I like that.
Well, and it's funny because at the beginning of the show, you rattle off those numbers. You can see the big jumps in I didn't even know where I was at on TikTok. So I don't use it nearly as much as I need to. That's a goal of mine in 2022. Okay. But it's like there's these big jumps in the socials because it's like, well, I use this one the most. This one has the most organic reach. This is the one that's the oldest, and so that's where those numbers come from.
Do you have any other advice that you would have shared with yourself from back in the day?
Something that I've learned recently, I've had to relearn, reteach myself, remind myself is, this is a marathon. It's one of those things where I give the advice to people that come through my chat room, or, I get emails and DMs all the time asking, certain questions, and I have a lot of the same answers, but to actually look at myself in the mirror and say it to myself sometimes, but it's like, I am getting older. Who knows what the shelf life is for a content creator yet. I'm in that first kind of generation. I would say I'm in the second generation, because there's definitely some YouTubers that have come and gone and they've got careers elsewhere doing other things. But I went from YouTube to Twitch, and I've kind of moved platforms, and who knows what the next one's going to be. But sometimes, I get down on myself because I feel like I should be doing better, because I've been doing this so long that I should be doing better. But I have to remind myself that keep doing what I want to do. Keep doing what I feel is true to me. And whoever finds that appealing, whoever finds that content entertaining, engaging, whatever it is, they'll come and they'll find me. I constantly tell people all the time, I'm not for the masses. I'm not, my content or, what I do isn't for the masses. It's not what the majority of people are looking for, but there is always someone, no matter what you're into, no matter what your passion is, no matter what it is you want to do, there's an audience for it. Mm-hmm. Because if you're interested in it, guaranteed in the 8 billion people that are on this planet, there's a bunch of other people that are also into it. They just have to find you. And that's on you as the content creator to use the proper tools given to us, the metadata and the networking, to basically get your name out there, and people will find you. It'll happen. And so, again, doing this for so as long as I have been, I've been through multiple cycles of highs and lows, even lower, all over the place. Just keep on trucking, keep always moving forward. A couple of my best friends, that's like their motto, is always forward. Don't get stuck in the rut. Don't get stuck in this moment, because I'll have a bad day. I'll have a bad stream. I'll have a bad week where I'm like, man, numbers were horrible this week. And then the very next week, something changes, something happens, all the stars align, and all of a sudden I have a great week of streams. My numbers are through the roof. I got maybe a couple of generous hosts or raids from people that that aren't normally there. And it kind of brought a surge of new energy to the chat room. And so it's just one of those things where it's like, I've been through some lows in my career, and obviously I pushed through it. I made it through, but I went through those moments where is this the end? Is this the time for me to find something else? Start thinking about, do I need to get a job? Or it never got that low, but I'm always a thinker ahead. Sure. I never want to be in the position, especially because I have a family. I never want to be in the position where it's like tomorrow I wake up and go, shit, I'm broke.
Right.
Or I don't have an income coming in tomorrow. I'm always thinking that far ahead. So It's that's the advice that I would give myself maybe like 4 or 5 years ago when things started getting rocky. It's like, nope, you're good, dude. Just keep going. Just keep push through it.
Just keep going. Yeah, that's true. I've definitely been there myself, where it's been a couple of rough weeks, whether it's things going on in the stream or behind the scenes, or the car breaks down, whatever, something happens and you're just feeling like, damn, I don't know if I really am cut out for this right now, or is this even going to work? And then something will just happen. And had I have not gone back and streamed, I would have never known that happened. But yeah, I think a lot of smaller streamers, they look at people that are sitting at, 60, 70, 80 viewers, maybe 200 or 300 viewers. And, I can't wait to be there. But they don't realize that we are also fighting a lot of the same battles that they are fighting. We're still going to kick ourselves about our number, because your number will never be perfect. You're still going to wonder about your sponsorships and how do you get those, and are you doing the contract the right way? We still have issues, is what I'm trying to get at. Nothing is perfect. This career is always, like you said, just keep going forward, no matter what stage you're at. I was really interested to hear that you had worked for 6 years on YouTube before things really started getting better for you, and going where you wanted them to go. Like, that's a huge inspiration, because I feel like a lot of people are hanging out doing this for a year and they're going, well, this isn't going to work. Well, what if you had thought that after just one year? Like,
yeah,
it worked out.
That's actually something I tell people a lot of times. They'll be like, oh, I've been streaming for 2 months, or I've been streaming for 6 months, and I'm like, okay, fair enough. We live in a culture now where everything's on demand, everything's right now, right? You want to watch a movie, like, you don't have to go to movie theaters, right? You pay $20, you can get a new movie on your TV right now, right?
Right.
I tell people all the time, like, it took me 6 years, and that's, I mean, to be fair, the partner program, I started my channel in 2006. I think the partner program was like late 2008, or maybe it was 2007. I got partnered in 2008. 2008's a number in there somewhere. But anyway, 6 years of creating content before I got that first $100 check. And I'll tell people, I'll be like, could you do this, what you're doing right now, for 6 years without ever getting a dollar? Could you do, if the answer is yes, you're good to go, man.
Yeah, you're fine.
Keep pushing, keep rocking. It may not be 6 years nowadays. It happens a lot faster because just the way platforms work. I mean, you can get, affiliated. It depending on how your situation, you can get an affiliate within a month.
Right.
But it's like, could you do this with no money guaranteed? Like, you just knew it in your head. There's no way you're making money for 6 years. If the answer is no, then you need to restructure your frame of mind now, so you don't set yourself up for failure later. Because I think a lot of, especially kids, younger people, they see the big streamers, they follow their favorite creators, and people see what we do, and while it appears to be very easy, I'm just sitting here playing video games, talking into a microphone, super simple. There is a ton of work on the back end, and there's a ton of just mental energy that comes out that some people are just not cut out for. I use this analogy a lot. Anybody can pick up a basketball and dribble a basketball and shoot a basketball. Anybody, virtually anybody. Someone could, just pick up a ball and do the thing that is the sport, right? But we all know that it's like the 1% of the 1% that make it to the pros, right? 1% make it to the pros, and then the 1% make it famous, right? There are people on every pro team that you've never heard of and will probably never hear of, because they're the second string, third string, but they are professional athletes. They get paid a buttload of money doing what they love. And if their team makes it to the championship and wins, they get a ring, they get the bonus, all that. But they're just, they're the underlining part of that thing. And so a friend of mine, Action Jackson, he calls himself a blue collar streamer because he punches in every day. He streams for X amount of days, X amount of hours per X amount of days. And he's just making his living, and he's, having a good time doing it. And I love that, because that's exactly how I look at myself. I punch in 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week. This is my job. I love it. I'm fortunate to do it. But unlike basketball, where there's literally a gate that said that you will only go so far in your basketball career, whether it's high school, college, maybe you play on semi-pro level, but there's these gates, right? And there's so many people that want to do it, and there's only so many positions on these teams that, again, that high percentage will make it. Mm-hmm. Content creation, there is literally no barriers. Anyone, just like picking up a basketball, can create an account and go live or upload a video. There's no one's going to stop you from doing that. And so anybody can do it. Anybody can try it. And they're sitting here doing the same thing that person's doing, right? The person they were just watching, they're doing the same thing. How come I'm not getting viewers? How come I'm not making money? And I just be real. I'm like, not everyone's made for this. Not everyone's cut out for this. Mm-hmm. You might enjoy it. You might love what you're doing because you're playing games, you're talking to people, you're having fun with your friends, but not everyone is going to make it to the pros. Not everyone's going to be that superstar that makes the $1 million and gets all the endorsement deals, right? Like,
sure,
there's all these levels and these layers to every profession and every job. It's the same thing in the corporate world, right? There's the CEO at the top.
Yeah.
Then there's the VPs, then there's the directors, then there's the managers, then there's the supervisors, then there's the front line, and it's like, some people are made for that frontline position. They just want to be the worker bees. They have no desire to move up in the ranks and stress of being a leader. There's the ones that want to be in leadership, but don't quite have the qualities, like there's just all these layers to it, and content creation is exactly the same. So it's a reality check for some people who, sometimes I'll kind of just throw it out to them, like, at some point you have to self-reflect and be like, am I happy doing what I'm doing with what I have in front of me? And if the answer is yes, then sweet, just keep on doing it and have fun, enjoy it. But if your goal is to have these aspirations of being something bigger and you put in X amount of time and it's not working, make some changes, try to find something maybe that make a tweak here and there. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to come to the realization that, maybe this isn't for you. And that's a hard pill to swallow, because like I said, no one's going to tell you that. No one's going to be like, Twitch isn't going to come to you like, hey, you've been streaming for 2 years and haven't gotten to this level, we're going to delete your channel. Like, that's, right. That's not going to happen. So it's on the individual person to have these like checks and balances. Maybe have yourself a goal, not too lofty of a goal, but have a goal in your mind. Like, I want to hit certain numbers. And if you come close to those numbers, then go, stretch them out a little bit longer and go another 6 months, another year. That's the best thing to do.
That is true. I like that. Definitely give yourself the time. You can't do this for 3 or 4 weeks and go, God, it's just not working. Or honestly, even 6 months. If I quit 6 months in, you'd never know who I was. Mm-hmm. But yeah, definitely give yourself time and be honest about it. I know I recently put it in my Discord, in the Streamer Class Discord, that I would review your channel. Or maybe I'll have other people come on and do it with me. Or if I don't have you on my YouTube, on this YouTube channel, then I'll just do it privately, just put a note on there like, hey, I don't want it to be on YouTube, but I would really like you to check out my channel. And I was shocked because so many people were ready. And I said, you got to be ready. Like, if I say some shit that you don't like, just because I'm being straightforward with you about my own personal opinion, you have to be willing to take it and understand, like, okay, this is why they're viewing it this way. Or I could see, oh, you know what? I should have updated that. Or maybe my color scheme was absolutely terrible. But just be ready for that. And people just responded. I was like, oh, okay, I think I have like 7 or 8 channels that I need to go check out, which is so cool that these people are willing to say, okay, yeah, let me know what's going on, what I do right, what I do wrong. Let's include both of them. So that is cool. Having that talk with yourself, and no, Twitch is definitely not going to come along and be like, yeah, time for you to go.
Yep. That's what I tell people too. I'm like, again, a lot of jobs in the world are like that, where you you apply and you get a no, right? You apply and you never get a response. Or like I said, when it's a physical thing, like there's just like, we got 100 people here, man. Who's the fastest? Who's the tallest? Who can jump the highest? Who can get the most, jump shots? Like, there's criteria. Yeah. When it comes to content creation, there's literally no barriers. The barrier would be the partner, right? Or the barrier would be the monetization, or depending on what the platform is. Like, there's definitely some barriers there, but as far as like starting up and just going for it, literally anybody can do it.
Yep, that's true. Well, I'm gonna wrap this up here, but make sure that you guys go and follow Clintus on every platform. I literally have all of his links. They'll be down below. Whether you're listening to this on a podcast or on YouTube, all the links are there, I promise. And following him will be awesome. You can come back and thank me later. Clintus, thank you so much for the interview. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Streamer Class. Links to everything discussed in today's episode can be found in the description. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. For more information or to connect with Sigma, follow us on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and join our Discord. We'll see you next time.